Hi, I'm John Byrne with Poets&Quants, and with me today are two directors from Fortuna Admissions. We have Judith Hodara, who was at one time Senior Associate Director of Admissions at the Wharton School. And we have Caroline Diarte Edwards, who had been Director of Admissions at NCOD, so two of the best schools in the world. And today what we want to talk about is the ideal timetable for an applicant to get into a highly selective business school. How quickly should they start the process, and what should they be thinking about along the landmarks of it?
Sure. I wanted to talk a little bit about when I was at Wharton, and sometimes we would actually get calls from high school parents who were considering what undergraduate program their students should choose. And they said, if they eventually want to go to business school, what should they do? And I really wanted to say, take a step back and take a deep breath. Let them go to college, let them go out into the world for a few years, and then really think about what it is they want to do and why they want to do it. Ultimately, I would feel when I was looking at applications and talking with students, and now in my role at Fortuna, about 9 months to a year makes a lot of sense. Of course, you can always truncate this, and we do get clients that turn up on our doorstep the beginning of December for a round 2 deadline. But generally speaking, we like to see students sort of 6 to 9 months before they're actually going to apply.
9 months out, what should they be thinking about doing?
The first step is to start doing some research, and it's important to really look at a number of school options and not jump to a conclusion too quickly about which is the right school to apply to, and really set their heart on a school too early. Sometimes we see candidates or clients who look at a particular ranking and then pick the top 2 or 3 schools and say, I have to go to one of those, or all bets are off. And we really encourage our clients to spend some time looking at a range of schools, visit the schools if at all possible. There's no substitute really for actually going to the campus, meeting the students, meeting the faculty, soaking up the atmosphere and getting a sense for whether that's the right community for you. An MBA is a very complex experience. There's the curriculum, there's the core curriculum, the electives. There's the size of the program, the number of students. A small program has advantages of being often a very close-knit community. A larger program may give you a bigger network. There's the location, there's the recruiting options, there's exchange options. So there's a lot to look at. So we really encourage our clients to really spend some time up front and invest significant time in looking at their options and keeping a broad mind up front about where they might apply.
And of course, the one big scary thing is the GMAT for a lot of people, particularly poets.
Of course.
So that's another reason why you want to start early. Give yourself an opportunity to take the test more than once if you need to, right?
Exactly. And we don't like people feeling that they need to test at a certain date and that's it. Certainly, it does take some time to get used to the kind of exam that it is. Even if you did take standardized exams as a undergrad in the United States, or you're coming from abroad, this may be brand new for you. We generally recommend taking a kind of a baseline test, getting a sense of how you feel and where you are in the testing profile, giving yourself time to do it again. And certainly, while most of the students that are applying have already graduated and have completed their undergraduate GPAs, a wonderful time to look at your background and say, can I take an additional quantitative class? Can I take accounting or statistics or finance at a local college? Or can I do it online? Can I do it through a MOOC, which are very popular?
Creating the alternate transcript for
exactly,
yourself, right?
Creating an alternate transcript so that the B that you might have gotten in college, or if you were an English major and didn't have any quant, you can really show the schools that you're looking forward and moving ahead with your own education. So our advice and our experience is really that the GMAT preparation coupled with one of these additional classes can be very helpful in the application process.
And Caroline, how many times do your clients tend to take the GMAT? Do you have a rough idea of that?
A lot of candidates end up taking it 2 or 3 times. And it's got easier to do that now because now you can cancel the score. So it's easier to go in, take it, see how you feel. If it doesn't work out, then you can cancel the score and it's not actually reported to the school.
So if we look at the 9-month timetable, how, let's say you start 9 months ahead of a deadline, whatever the deadline is, whether it's round 1, round 2, do you immediately start studying and researching programs? When do you think you should actually sit for the test for the first time?
A lot of people need 2 or 3 months to prepare for the GMAT. So it's good to give yourself that time. Aim to take it sort of 6 to 7 months before the application deadlines. So then you've got plenty of buffer time to retake and give yourself a bit more time to do that before you dive into the applications.
What I would mention though is that we see a lot of clients that retest fairly quickly, because when you're running a marathon and you're at, for example, marathon ability, you don't want to let that decrease too much before you go for it again.
Right.
So if you're a little bit lower than you wanted to be, we generally suggest don't take 2 months off. Sit it again fairly quickly so you can still maintain that kind of edge that you had when you were going into it the first time.
Right.
And then the other thing I would mention is that we really don't like to suggest that students try to do the GMAT and write their applications at the same time. So we do kind of like to build in, as Caroline mentioned, that buffer of a few months so you can really turn your attention from the quantitative to the qualitative, which is such an important part of the process.
So again, coming back to the 9 months, first 3 months you study for the GMAT, you sit for it, you look at the possibilities of different schools that you might be on your target list, and then at the 6-month mark, you really start looking at the application, the essays, and thinking about which of the schools that you've researched you really want to apply to, right?
That's correct, yeah.
How long does it take to do an application and the essays, generally?
It varies
It's not
a lot.
a weekend kind of
No,
thing, is
it's
it?
not.
Huh?
Normally more time than you would think. So on average, we probably work with clients on their applications for about 3 or 4 months from start to finish. Some clients sign up 6 months or more in advance, and we start working with them on their applications then. Some clients sign up 2 weeks before a deadline, and we go through the whole process. We have done that, and they've been successful. So it can be done in a much more collapsed time frame, but a comfortable time frame is 3 to 4 months. For the round 1 deadlines, often the essay titles are not released until around June, May, June time. So that means that, then you have the summer really to work on the essays, June, July, August, and then submit the applications in September. So it also depends how many schools the candidate's applying to. So
right.
If they're just applying to 1 or 2 schools, then a shorter time frame is feasible. If they want to apply to 3 or 4, even 5 schools in one round, then they definitely need to start the process further in advance.
And if you're going to hire an admissions consultant to help guide you through the process, when's the best time to bring a consultant in? I'm assuming that really at the early stage of the process, right? Although I'm sure that there are people who try it on their own, get frustrated, need a little more guidance, and then come to you after they've already done essays, GMAT Prep, have chosen target schools. What's the better way, and is there some balance here?
I generally say that hiring someone to work with you on your applications is a lot like having a personal trainer. You can do it on your own, but you're probably not going to do as many reps or spend as much time in the gym or develop to where you would like to be. So it really, for us, is a question of coming in early, helping the students, the candidates, understand where am I in the universe of this process? What matters to me as an individual? Why do I want to go to business school? Really encouraging a lot of introspection. And I think students like to think, oh, well, on the weekend, I'll go and be introspective. It doesn't work that way. You really need someone holding you accountable and suggesting, have you thought about this? Where's your career path? Who are you going to ask to be your recommenders? What do you hope to get out of this process? And so having someone with you to work with you at least those 6 months can be really, really helpful.
So even though we have a 9-month timetable, I'm sure there are things you can do well before 9 months in your job and your career to set yourself up for a successful candidacy. What are some of those things?
That's right, and actually we do sometimes talk to people who literally have just come out of the undergraduate program, they've started their first job and they're thinking about, I want to work towards going to a top MBA program, so what should I be doing now? The types of things that they can be doing, thinking about planning their work experience, looking for projects that will give them perhaps leadership experience at an earlier age, where they can really take responsibility and have an impact themselves, and therefore have a great accomplishment that they can showcase in their application. It could be getting international experience that would help them differentiate their experience, especially if they're a candidate who is coming from a sort of classic feeder industry to business school, like consulting or investment banking. They should be thinking about, how can I do something different versus all the other guys from my firm who are going to be applying to Wharton, Harvard, Stanford, and so on.
And plus cultivating people who might be your recommender, right? At some point?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yes,
I would say
yeah.
that no one likes to be sort of a cold recommender. You know, you really want to develop those relationships over a period of time. And we're not suggesting that you go in the first day and grab somebody around the wrist and say, be my recommender, be my mentor, because it doesn't work that way. But these relationships do take time, and you want to develop them gradually. We also find that letting people that you work with know you're thinking about applying to business school may actually mean you get very interesting projects to work on, or a little bit of leadership opportunity, things that otherwise might not be evident to you, but are very important for you to be able to take advantage of. So coming in early with the mindset, and it's not considered being a traitor, it's being considered thoughtful. In 2 years, I'd like to eventually get my degree. How can I best position myself to do that? And we found that directors and supervisors at firms are more than happy to support that endeavor.
Caroline, thank you. Judith, thank you very much. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants.